Did you
Hello.
want an intro?
Well,
Oh,
I was doing the intro now and you interrupted. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is oh God, I am the Xander Cage #1 fanboy, Trask Snail, and I'm joined by
I'm the Jeep Taylor Field.
the Jeep Taylor Field. Wow, not the Jeep driving, just the Jeep Taylor
Just
Field.
the Jeep.
Yes, if you haven't guessed by the nicknames or the title, well, you should have got it by now because you know what that means. We are here to review Fast. So I had found this out today what the actual title was. I hadn't decided what I'm actually putting in the description. I'll probably change it, but still, I didn't know that this movie was legitimately called. The title of this movie is F9: The Fast Saga. What a
It's the
stupid
start of a
title.
new trilogy, right? Or start of a new chapter.
Well, yes and no. Like it is. We are getting two more, but like it's a cheat where like the last two are technically, I don't know if they're gonna call it that, but like a part one, part two filming together back to back. So like technically it's a trilogy, but really that's supposed to be like one big movie because it was gonna end at 10, and they're like, no, we need two more. So I just think that's a stupid ass title. Like F9, the Fast Saga. But we're here to talk about. But before that, Taylor, where can they find us on the interwebs?
Ladies and gentlemen, you can find us with your internet connection. GeekVerse.ca is our home base. GeekVerse is our Twitter, and GeekVerse is our Facebook. Now, and I got a great segue for you, so I'm not stealing your thunder. We have our Harry Potter retros, all the Harry Potter films available
On Patreon. Oh, okay. That's what
Oh
you're gonna
yeah,
say.
there we go.
Oh boy. Yeah, they're all available on Patreon. You get those like a year early right now, so that's good. Lots of other exclusive episodes on there, more come in the next coming months. Early episodes, ad-free feed. So if you listen to this and you want no ads whatsoever, you hop over there, you get to support us at the same time. It's us helping you, you helping me, all that good stuff. So head over there. That's the best place to listen. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts if you like this review or any other episode we do. Check out our podcast network at 7 days a week. 9 shows. I was on there this week talking about superhero discussions, talking about Long Halloween, so that was tons of fun. But covers Marvel, Star Wars, DC, animation, comics, everything you name it. So check that out. Check out our 4 feeds. We have our main one that you might be listening to right now, the review feed, the retrospective feed, and the news feed. Those are all kind of separate categories. So if you want to just listen to our newscaster there, or if you want to go in the backlog and like you just started listening, because we've had a few people recently with Loki and new listeners and viewers, and you go, oh, I want to listen to this. Well, we're going to be putting everything up there. So good place to listen. Go subscribe and rate and review. Like I said, every week we're reviewing Loki. That's lots of fun. Next week we'll probably have some really good newscasts because we got a Shang-Chi trailer, we got a Halloween trailer. So it's just popping off. The one day we didn't do a newscast on Thursday just decided to be huge. But before we start to, I have to ask, how come Shang-Chi got the honor of being on the Facebook page, but not Halloween? I thought for sure Halloween would be up there with your hype levels.
Oh, I forgot to share it actually.
There you
And
go.
honestly, like just the Shang-Chi trailer again, like the trailer
Shang-Chi,
for
it's
Shang-Chi,
sung like
Shang-Chi.
young.
The Halloween Kills trailer was definitely hype, but like just the steam of that Shang-Chi trailer was just like, oh my god. I was getting like Edward Norton like flashbacks, like where are
Edward
we?
Norton flashbacks. Well, if you want to hear us fully break that down, check that out. Check out Marvel Lines, they did it too. So we got a bunch of fun stuff. Just a big thank you to everyone that supported us. We have just had a rockin' really good month, and that's all because of you guys who continue to listen, who listen all the way through, who share these casts. You guys are just the best. We got more updates in the future, but you guys are just making this the biggest month ever again by massive amounts of percentages. So we thank you very much. So I think that's all the foreplay out of the way. Taylor Field, what did you think of F9, The Fast Saga? Obviously, this is like many other movies, been delayed a few times, but here we are. This is like the big kind of, at least for us in Canada, because a lot of restrictions have gone away and things like that. This is the big, hey, theaters are back. You got a bunch of, oh, look, welcome to theater, welcome to this. So how did it feel, one, being back? Because I think the last time we were in a theater, I always say Tenet because that's what I remind myself. The last time I was in a theater was New Mutants. Was that the last time you were in a theater as well?
I have been to the theater since they've reopened. I actually saw
Right.
the Hitman Bodyguard's wife.
Oh, really? How was that? Because you like the
Yeah.
first one.
I like the first one. The second one was, it had its key moments where I genuinely chuckled because Ryan Reynolds was just a punching bag in that movie essentially, and Selma Hayek is just she
She's
can be
great.
she can be a delight. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Well, there you go.
I'm never gonna turn away a bit of Sam Jackson just swearing half the time and laughing.
There you go. Yeah. Oh, so you've been back in the theater, so that you already had that great experience. So was this a great movie going experience as far as the quality of this film?
Uh, I'm just gonna say right off the hop, I know people haven't been to the theaters in a long time, but it's not your goddamn living room. You don't just be talking throughout the whole experience. You shut up and you watch the goddamn movie. I don't need bullshit. I don't need people, again, like I said, thinking it's their freaking living room. It's a movie theater. You pay almost $20 for a ticket. Yeah, give me the big O. You paid almost $20 for a ticket. Sit in your goddamn seat. The lights are turned off and just
Sit
watch
in
the
your seat.
goddamn movie. Jesus. There's little kids that can deal with this, like deal with being in a theater experience better than like grown ass people these days. It's just, God, it's so annoying. Oh, especially when there's moments where it's like serious talk and they're getting into like heart to heart. It's all about it's about family. That's the message of
Mhm.
these movies. And when they're having like heart to heart moments and just like people are like talking and like laughing, it's like, what are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking about right now? Is there something that is like justified to talk about when Vin Diesel is like pouring his heart out into some moment of serenity? I don't think so. I've had it in my life where I've had to tell people to be quiet multiple times, and it's just exhausting. It should just be something like a common courtesy. You have this whole time, this huge buildup in the theater because it's like, welcome back. We're back, and this is going to be like, this is great because the movies is movie magic and it's so powerful, and we're here to bring it to you guys. People talking like, oh, come on, Jesus Christ. Anyways, that's my rant. I'm no patience for little trouble makers, trouble traders is what I'm gonna call them.
What do you think of the movie?
Yeah, the movie though, I mean, it had it was a fast movie. I mean, my God, it had moments where I chuckle because I think like, oh my God, not in a million years, but like they always got to one up themselves over the last one, and it was exciting. Again, this movie is this movie is basically at the end of the day, like they use the power of family to conquer all. Is what they use, and it's truly incredible what they managed to accomplish because it was long. I have to say, this is probably the longest Fast movie. It felt like there was four major scenarios that unfolded where I feel like most movies have like one and a half, usually like one, but it just kept going and going and going, and not necessarily a bad way, but it's not a movie I ever have to own. It's definitely a movie that I think is worth it to see on the big screen because it's unless you've got like a super big TV show, to Jessica, it won't do you any justice watching on a tiny little thing.
What's the size of Jessica's TV again?
She's got like what, like 100,
Yeah,
200,000
something like that. But
flat screen TV.
I'm buying like a 75, 80-inch Sony this weekend. So
Oh,
I'm
there you
going
go.
for that quality brand stuff. But it's the second longest the second longest fast, 2 hours and 25 minutes. The last one, The Fate of the Furious, was 2 hours and 29. So this was 4 minutes shorter than the other one. But yeah, so
Wow.
pretty long. That's Avengers level length and stuff like that. Yeah, so I'm somebody you've heard. I think me and Kyle reviewed
You did the
F8 a
one with the
long time
submarine.
ago. Yeah, I did that one, and then I did Hobbs and Shaw by myself. And then Taylor just mysteriously became a Fast fan over like this past year, so that's why he's on this review. But so yeah, for me it was my first kind of going experience, and it's weird because like with COVID and everything like that, like like I had that first going experience when we went back with New Mutants and Tenants that was all shut down, and now like having it again, just like flashbacks. But man, I was really excited the whole day, thinking like, man, I'm going to a movie theater, and maybe it's just because life is looking a little bit better as far as like the quality of hopefully fucking Delta variant. Please stay away from Kelowna, but barring anything going bad again, it's like, man, we might get back to be doing this full time. And my theater was packed. You said yours was empty, but not empty, but you said it was dead in here or something. I don't know. But mine,
I meant the lobby. In the theater, there's probably like 15 people or so.
yeah, however many you could have in my theater there was. And I definitely talk with them. I don't talk the way you're talking about, but I definitely feel like people talk a bit more because they're so spaced out. But I don't talk in the sense that anyone else could hear me other than Emily. So I try to be as good etiquette and everything like that. But I had a really fun time with this one. And Fast has taken a leap in logic, I'd say since Fast 6. Now everyone always brings up Fast 5 because the safe and pulling it through and everything like that, and the schematics and the physics of it all. But for me, always like Fast 6 was the last one, and near the end I remember when they get in the plane tarmac and it's like it's going and that's so long. But Fast 6 to me was the last one where it's like, okay, they're still trying to be as realistic as possible. Once we got to Fast 7, that's when you got Vin Diesel stepping on concrete to break it. F8, you had the submarine and everything, and this one goes just balls to walls as well. So you just kind of have to buckle up and be in for the ride. And I don't know why. I'm excited to watch it again because I'd watched them all up into this to get ready for this, except for Hobbs and Shaw, because I was like, it doesn't really have to do with it, things like that. So I will probably watch it this weekend just to close it out. But I remember with that one, I had a lot more problems as far as near the end felt. It was way too just over the top. Maybe it's because they kind of actually introduced like a real life superhero. I don't know. I remember watching it once being like, yeah, I think they almost went over that line of like jumping the shark. This definitely does that, but I guess for me, it's just executed a little bit better. But there's definitely some huge eye rolling moments. But here's the thing where, and maybe it just depends what movie you're watching, I could sit here and just laugh. And maybe it's just because like when we have like Jurassic World coming out, which I told you, they said IMAX only we're going to preview, and lo and behold, we did not. So always hashtag Travis told you. But I guess for me, it's because some franchises like a Jurassic World, I have problems with it because I love Jurassic Park so much, and I see where it came from. Where Fast Furious I've always liked, but I've never loved. So once they start getting fucking super crazy and astronomical and things that don't really make sense, there's definitely movies that are going to be stronger and things that will bring the score down. But I'm kind of just along for the ride, and that's how I was the whole time. I had a good time watching with Emily. We had bunch of laughs because there's just some super outrageous stuff in here that, yeah, like you said, would never ever happen. This movie has gone from being a streetcar racing movie about stealing VCRs to about like these heists, like car heists, but now they're literally just like James Bond or Mission Impossible. Like that's what they are. They're a team of people that just do things for the government. And yeah, so I liked it. I think it's middle of the pack. I won't say middle lower, but probably close to that. I liked it better than not liked it. So I have this before with F6 or sorry with F7 and F8 where I like them a lot better than some of the other movies, but some of the problems are so huge. I didn't have massive problems with this, so I had a fun time. I think we'll have a few fun things to talk about in spoilers, but is there anything to say before we get into this?
No.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be your last chance. We're about to take our first ad break. So if you've not seen the movie, just want to know what we thought, that's going to be ending here. That's the end of the road, Toretto. And then we're going to jump right into spoilers. So this is your last chance. We will be right back. And we're back. So here we are talking about F9. Taylor, where do you want to start with F9? We have people coming back from the dead. We got estranged brothers. We got end credit scenes. We have villains that are literally, like I said, Mission Impossible trying to take over the world. You have flashbacks. Where do you want to go?
I want to start off with Toretto's kid. Just off the hop, I feel like this child wandered on set and thinks this is like actually reality and has no idea what's going on because it's just like I mean the kid is a very little kid, good child actor, but when Dominic like looks at him and is like, I learned a lot about life out on this track, and this kid's like, did you race here? Like this kid's got no idea what's going on.
My favorite thing is when he brought him back. For people, if you're watching this or listening and you didn't watch the movie, they have these flashbacks and they said, we'll get into, they set up that Dom's dad died on a racetrack. And like, as he's walking up, I lean over at Emily like, oh yeah, here's where your grandfather died. And he literally is like, yo, this is the last place I saw your grandfather. I was like, Jesus, man, like you're not ready to be a father. And that's why I just want to start off. Like, I get what they're kind of going for with Letty. And that's where, of course, character is not even second in this movie. It's third or fourth, but I still find it important because at one point in this franchise, they cared a lot about it. I still have massive problems we'll talk about. I still have massive problems how they handled the whole Han situation, not only in previous films, but even bringing back here. But let me shelf that for a second. I get what they are going for as far as, oh, they're, animals, you can't cage them, as far as letting Dom. She's talking about missing the lifestyle. She wants to feel in control because when people pull up the house, they had to hide the sun. I just thought, man, both these parents deserve like medals for worst parents of the year, in my opinion, because like in the other movies, that was the thing, is like they had to pull off a job so they go live a life, or it's like they had to do one last government thing, or like how they got back into an F7 was Deckard Shaw kills Han and like, okay, let's go get him. F7 is now fucking meaningless now. That movie means literally nothing. Like they chased Jason Statham for nothing at all, especially because on the team. I'm gonna rant about that when we get to Han, but there's always a reason. I felt the reason for Dom and Letty, it's tough because like I do get that Jacob with John Cena, we're going to talk about like his brothers there and then Cypher, but I guess I just needed a bit more time to breathe with that decision because it was just quick. They talked about it. Next scene, Letty's getting on a bike and she says like, oh, this isn't us, Dom. Like that, that's not us. We're more, like I said, wild. And then the next scene is Toretto leaving his kid as well, which they also, not until like midway for the film, tell you where the kid is. So it's just like, I'm assuming someone is watching the kid, but it's just like, they just left. And I don't know, maybe it's just because in real life I'm a father and like, it's like there's times where Dom's talking about like being a better man and stuff like that, and I just feel like, well, he's not that, because I feel like the better man would have been like, you know what, my brother is out there, Cypher, who killed the mother of my child's out there, but maybe it's best to take the high road, because guess what, if I go out there and fucking die, then this kid has no parents. So I feel like lots of times the character of Dom would be preaching things of like changing, or you don't have to be acting or violent, stuff like that, but it's like he would be doing that, and it wasn't too much, but there's just, I can't remember one line where he was just talking about like, I think it's something like you got to know not when to fight, but when to back down or something like that, and it was like, well, you're not doing that at all. So
wasn't it like you don't always have to be a better fighter, just be a better man or a bigger man.
Yeah, and that's where I was like, you left your kid to possibly die. Like he could have no parents, and sure, he's with Brian, he's with Paul Walker, which I like. That was a good way to write him off. I think that fit, but like, I don't know. I just think the kid thing was fun to introduce, but now with the stakes of it, just like they didn't care about this kid at all. The kid's just an afterthought. So the only reason the kid is also there is to like in the next movie or two, that kid's gonna get kidnapped 100%, right? And
I'm sure, like, if they didn't cover the Paul Walker thing, or Brian, like, saying, Vin Diesel just like, okay, little B, just go into the basement, like I told you, I'll be back in a few weeks.
Yeah, there's some food down there.
Yeah.
And I still like, because we'll jump to the end, because I remember we talked about this on a newscast. I love that, of course, once they're all successful, they do like a big cookout and everything. Classic, like Fast and Furious trope, right? And when I was like, oh man, Paul Walker is going to show up. And I was so worried because on a newscast we covered like a year ago, there was rumors that he might be in it, like CGI'd. But I think they did the perfect way. Now, maybe they try it? I don't know how strong those rumors were, but the way, as far as there's an empty table and the car just shows up and it's Brian's, I think that was the perfect way to like acknowledge he's still in this universe, because obviously they didn't kill him off, but you don't have to show him. And I think it made sense because people, as some of the GUA people, like, I don't get why Mia's back on the mission if she has kids. It was like, well, clearly the answer's right there. Her brother is like also in the scenario. So to me, I think they made it make sense for her to be on this mission because Jacob's her brother, they have a history, and Brian to stay back. So were you happy that we just got the car and no fucking like?
I'm happy. I couldn't even imagine if they recasted him and just some other actor gets out of the car. It'd be like,
I wasn't worried about that. I was worried about Mark Hamill, Mandalorian season 2. That's what I was worried for.
That's
and
fair.
I didn't want that.
I honestly thought it was going to be John Cena that showed up. I don't know why. And then it clicked, like, oh, when Mia was like, oh yeah, he's coming, and then you see the classic like Brian kind of go-to car that he kind of digs his style, and I was like, okay, I like it. I'm glad we didn't see him.
I like and like it's funny, right? Because when they do these things, it does make complete sense in the real world for us, because we know Paul Walker passed away, so there's these great tributes. But there's so many times, like when I watch F7, when they like drive off together, it's like it's great in the moment. But when you watch it, you're like, they just left their families at the beach. This is weird. And then in the F8, it's just like, I still don't understand what, like, they still should have named this kid Paul. They should have never named it Brian, because it's just so weird that Brian's still alive in the universe. And then Vin Diesel was like, yeah, I'm going to name my son Brian as well. It's just like, and they call him Little B, but it still makes like no sense. And my favorite part is this, when he was like looking around, he's like, there's one more, right? And she was just kind of like, yeah, he's on his way. But like, it looked like he was going to be so disappointed Brian didn't show up to dinner. Like he looked so disappointed it was going to ruin everyone's night, the fact that Brian wasn't there. So it's just every time Brian not show up for dinner, he's, upset. But talking about, male leads and partners and stuff like that, obviously, like you said, Brian, I think that's the right call. Shows car, okay, perfect. I don't ever want to see him again just because the F7 was just a good send-off.
The song Until I See You Again. You're like, I never want to see you again.
Yeah, that's how they end F11. But no, it's just like one of those, it's a perfect send-off. You couldn't get like, and there was a few times when Dom was having like his trippy vision and everything like that. I'm like, oh man, we're gonna see a CGI Paul Walker here. They're gonna cover him in lights so it doesn't look so bad. But I'm happy they held back on that, and I hope they always hold back. I don't need to see him again. It was a perfect send-off. But talking about someone that's not sending off, he's just joining the party, was John Cena. So Ted, I'm going to ask you first, how did you feel about John Cena? Because also we talked about him a lot in Bumblebee. This is him doing a villain, serious role again. So how did he work in this movie as Jacob Toretto, Dom's estranged brother?
Well, again, like I think we were talking, like depending how he acts here, like this is how we'll be kind of based off. And I feel like, again, people are gonna hate on me, but I feel like he could play a Bane. Like,
oh
no, he's got the muscles,
go.
and like you put the mask on him, and he had so much eye motion in this movie. Like there was even close-ups of his eyes. Like, so that's all. That's what you need for a good Bane. Or even if he's got like the mask on, you can't even see his face. Save Batista for like a very in-depth role in the DCU.
That's what he wants to do with Bane, though. He wants to make Bane very in-depth.
Fair enough. Controversial topic. Go check out that episode whenever that was. So I would say, as far as John Cena joining into the ranks here, it definitely there was a little tiny bit of like out of placeness, just seeing like Mia come in and like hug him and stuff like that. But I think having the flashbacks definitely help kind of blend him into the whole group a little bit better. If we didn't have that, it really would have felt out of place. But I feel like the whole dynamic with their father and everything really kind of brought him in much nicer, or much more nicely. So I'm glad he's in there. I like that he's now kind of, he's another character on the run. Like, they'll call upon him at some time.
100%. No, they already called upon him. He'll be back.
Yeah, he's in there. And again, I think there were moments where he definitely, I feel like he played the part well of like a younger kind of hotshot brother and his older brother's shadow. I loved when he got called out and they were inside like the base of the unknown man. I can't remember his name, but
Mr. Nobody.
Mr. Nobody. Yeah.
The unknown man.
The unknown man. I love when he turns around and goes up to Dom and just like freaks out, calls him out and everything like that. I thought that was great. When he gets turned on, it was just it was so quick. I gotta
really
rushed, we'll talk about the that, not dictator, but the rich dude. We'll definitely talk to him when it comes to, because I got a couple of things that made me laugh, like what the fuck is going on. But
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, so John Cena, it's difficult for me because I've said this before. I always love him in comedies. Like I think he did a great job in Trainwreck, Blockers. I always said like that's where he should focus his talents on. Even Suicide Squad's like, yeah, it's an action movie, but it looks like he's, Peacemaker's being very comedic. He's talking about eating bags of dicks. So I think he's trying to do that type of role. So I think he was like a mixed bag in this, where I feel like when he was talking for a while, he would do a good job with the dialogue and it would come off as natural as possible as John Cena could make it sound. But I think when he had like a lot of the one-liners, when he would just like, there'd just be times where they would be doing something with the computer and then he'd like turn around and be like, upload it now. And just like anytime he was trying to be the very villainous John Cena, it just didn't work in my opinion. I think he still just isn't strong enough. Like I feel like The Rock definitely got some big gigs. I know he got like Scorpion King and stuff like that, so he definitely got some big stuff right away. But I just feel like John Cena was being thrust into it a lot quicker than Rock was, so he's learning a lot faster. But I think he was definitely better than Bumblebee. But that's because with this movie, you can kind of have him be a cheesy villain. It works. Where Bumblebee, I think, was trying to be more serious. Yes, Transformers, but I think they were trying to go for a bit more of a serious route with this Transformers. Where this is such a, I've always compared them like Grand Theft Auto, just wild, throw anything against the wall, see if it sticks. So I think even his bad acting sometimes feels like it could be a part of this universe. So I like him enough. I think I'm more excited for when he gets to be a bit more of like the hero side. I'm excited to see some like joking around and stuff like that. I think the biggest problem with this movie for me is like if you don't like the stunts, then that's up to you. If you think it's too outrageous, yeah, same thing. But as far as myself, who's a fan of it, I think they got stuff way too convoluted. We'll talk about the Han, but with this, I get what they're. So the story is Dom's dad is low on money. So what's he gonna do? He's gonna throw a race, which I don't know if it makes sense because like I feel like they got to pay him a lot of money to throw that race because I feel like winning this race you could make more money. But I digress. Either way, he's gonna throw it, and that's gonna
Well,
go ahead.
that's how they would make their money. Like he throws the race, and then the bets they have on the other guys basically get them money.
Yeah, I guess you're right about the betting side of it. It's just so, anyways, that's fine. So he needs some money, and they're saying, hey, if you throw this race, that's what's gonna happen, right? We get some convoluted reason, in my opinion, as far as he gets John Cena to do something with his engine. I'm not a car guy, so I don't know, but he gets John Cena to do something with his engine, and it's going to cause the engine to kind of sputter out during the race, so he will lose it. And then also it's pointed out somewhere in the movie, like if you do that and there's a crash, there would be an explosion, you would kill a person. So then it kind of looks like John Cena killed his dad. He did it like accidentally. And then, that's the whole movie where we'll talk about the flashbacks, but he gets cast aside from Vin Diesel because Vin Diesel thinks that he killed his dad. He did, but like I said, accidentally. Vin learns that later on in a weird, trippy, like flashback scene that's not a flashback. And I just feel like my problem was as some like I've never driven that much. I've never driven NASCAR, but I just feel like there's an easier way to throw a race than you're gonna mess with this engine thing that could potentially blow up my car and kill me. And like I'm sure they didn't think that was gonna happen, but all you'd have to do is just drive just a tad slower. Like if you're at the finish line with that other guy, all you do is just let off the gas a little. You don't got to do John Cena's mucking around in there. So I didn't really care for that. I liked that eventually they did give us the reason that it was a mistake because I was like, well, this is like Shaw again. It's like, how are you going to redeem John Cena if he actually killed his dad? But what do you think about the origin story as far as the messing with the car and he killed the dad and then they have this race off and if Vin wins the race, or sorry, if Dom wins the race, and this is when he's young. I was surprised that Vin Diesel actually let an actor play young Dom Toretto. I thought for sure he would deep fake himself, but they have this race where if Vin wins, the brother has to go away forever, but if Jacob wins, he can come back home.
Yeah, it's personally I found it very convoluted because I was going from like, oh my god, John Cena's got these horrible like motives. He killed his father. Like, what the hell's going on? And then he went from that to being like, oh, maybe he's not like such a bad guy. And then it kept changing and getting better and better, of course. But it's just I guess there's nothing wrong in the way they introduced it and kind of how it unfolded. Why his dad got him to do that? Like his dad never, in my opinion, needed to tell John Cena, "Hey, you got to do this to my car so it makes it look like I'm losing the race." Because I mean, maybe it would have been more realistic if it started to steam out or something like that. I mean, if you start to slow down purposefully, then it'll kind of be suspicious, I reckon. So there is that, but it's I don't know. I feel like there could have been something if what was his name? Jacob. If Jacob knew engines like he was supposed to, then he would have been able to identify that problem. And again, this movie is all heavily built on just coincidence. So the fact that Dom managed to overhear those two guys in prison talk about that issue, and it was the exact same issue that caused his father's death, it's all coincidence, like crazy coincidence. I cannot hear you at all. Your audio is not coming through, surprisingly. Uh, Yeah, what else do I have to say about John Cena and his father in this scenario? It was kind of like, again, they try to convince you that he's the bad guy because you have, as soon as the car blows up, which the car explosion was insanely like, there's no getting out of that. Like I thought it was going to be like a slow build up where the car just like flips over and stuff, but no, the car went up and exploded while colliding into the wall. Like it was just brutal. And then he just pans over to John Cena's younger self, and he just looks like he is like super into it, like he just did something he really does not regret, and it just was a little convoluted. But then they fix that, and it's like, oh no, it wasn't the case. That segues to, again, the origin of why Dom was originally arrested and convicted, because he beat that guy in with like a wrench iron. So that was, again, I don't want to say it's cool he beat this guy up, but it was cool to see the origin though of that, and
We
kind
got
of,
we got a lot of origins. You can hear me now, sir?
yeah.
Yeah, I'm mic problems, camera problems. The whole world's against me right now in the podcasting life. But I think because I'm somebody that doesn't like prequels, but I don't mind flashbacks because it's just like going to be a taste of the movie. So when we were going, like I knew we were going, oh man, we're gonna see young Letty, we're gonna see young me, like that whole thing. I got pretty hyped. I was like, this is pretty cool. You're seeing all these characters. It's some world building. It's establishing that like they've been doing this since they were young teens and whatnot. So I really liked all that. I think obviously it was a good reason for John Cena to disappear and everything like that. I love that Vin Diesel, like, purposely, in my opinion, got an actor for like young them to try and be like, well, look at how much smaller John, like the little brother, is. But then in real life, when they're like in the movie together, John Cena just fucking like towers over Vin Diesel. Like it's just so funny. He just has such an ego. But if you would have told me going into it, there's gonna be a bunch of Dom and Jacob flashbacks, I feel like I might be like, I don't know if I need that many, or it could be cheesy. But I actually liked them all. I love that they had Michael Rooker in there. That was a fun little touch. I saw him.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, they would better see him in present day, and they did. So that was cool. But surprisingly, I liked it all. I think it did a good job because we had to learn a lot about Jacob. And plus, any times that the film was getting too crazy, which I don't mind when it does this, it kind of reeled back into character stuff and learning more about Dom. And like you said, with the wrench, why I went to jail for the first time. So I actually liked it. Now, when Vin Diesel says in the press, like he could see himself doing a Fast and Furious prequel, do I need that? I don't know if I need that, but I'm less like opposed to it now after I saw these guys who were fine, So it's fun little origin story. So I got something else to talk about convoluted, but we're gonna talk about that after the second ad break, and we'll be right back. So speaking of convoluted, I want to get your thoughts on, obviously we had seen this like a year or so ago, whenever it may be, but we had saw the trailer, they kept it a secret, but Han Solo is back. What did you think about how his return was and how he was used?
Again, it all comes back down to Mr. Nobody just playing the
He
angles here.
fixes all.
He fixes all. I'm happy Han is back. And again, like, does this mean that Gal Gadot is truly gone? No, I don't know anymore. I mean, God, no
As
one's
Luke
ever really
Skywalker
gone.
says, no one's ever really gone. Yeah, not in these
Yeah.
movies, no.
So,
Giselle
I
will be
mean,
kidnapped somewhere. That's what's gonna happen.
exactly. It'll happen. It'll totally happen. So now we have Han reintroduced, and he was to go doing a mission, and he saved this girl, which I love that setup. I really, really like it. I like how, again, he went to Tokyo just because he was so lost after the fact, and there was such promise in what he was going to do with Gal Gadot's character. And uh, I'm still a little confused about how it was executed and set up, because Jason
No
Statham, like,
sense.
Shaw was bad and Mr. Nobody was hunting him, but he used him to fake Han's death, or maybe they knew that Shaw would come after him. But I guess
He
it kind of,
did. Yeah. No, it's
it's a
still dumb.
little murky. It's a little murky. So, but I'm
Because
glad Han is back.
yeah, so here's the question. Like, I'll explain like how he's back, but so it's tough. I'm not. I wish they didn't bring him back, in the sense of I don't mind Han. I like the actor a lot, but in this film, I feel like he came back for the big twist, but then he wasn't really in the film. Like he was there around, but I just feel like he didn't get any big moments. I just feel like he was back for the sake of being back. I feel like if he was back, it should have been almost the whole driving plot of the movie, and it wasn't. I also think it hurt it a lot that the first half of the movie is all like guessing, like trying to show like there's a big mystery about what happened, because what happens is they find out they need some coordinates, and they find out this person who has the key to this Ares whatever device is tied to Han. So they're trying to figure out this mystery of, okay, how does Han factor in this? The problem is the very first trailer for this movie showed us Han was coming back, so the whole time we know what's happening. So if it was only like 20 minutes, sure, but it's literally like over first half the whole movie of like, well, what's going on here? Oh, Tokyo's Han's Little Mexico. Could he be here? Like, could this be here? So that didn't work. And like I said, I felt like he just wasn't in it enough for me to really feel it was justified. I get why he's back, because if you look at it from a realistic standpoint, the team that they built, they lost Paul Walker because unfortunately he tragically passed away. They lost The Rock because he's doing Hobbs and Shaw now. And that way he also lost Shaw, who could have been a team member. So it's like they lost 3 main eventers on their squad. So I honestly feel like that is the only reason why Han is back. I don't, because they know he's a fan favorite. I don't think they had this story idea. I think it was, hey, we've lost so many characters. We need a few more coming back, or we need to build some. I think that's why John Cena is going to be like, your big guy now. Mia's going to be in the action more, and then you have him. So that's kind of 3 people filling that slot. But the reason I just know it wasn't, at least in my opinion, always planned, was how they brought him back was so convoluted. So he was dating Giselle. She was an agent with Mr. Nobody. He links up. He's like, oh, anyone Giselle trusts, I can trust, which is like, all right, I guess. You're also not the one sucking his dick. So I feel like there's a whole different thing there, but that's fine, Mr. Nobody. Sure, trust Han. So he becomes like an agent. They send him to Tokyo. And how they're going to fake his death, because they said him being better dead was being better than alive. So they figured somehow that they figured out that Deckard Shaw is coming to Tokyo. He's coming after Han. He's going to hit him at this exact moment. And then when he hits him, we're going to have your car explode to make it look like you died. Man, that's more fucking foresight than some of these Batman movies have had. And when people give Batman shit, Mr. Nobody is like Batman on steroids, because it's just like, you don't know where Shaw. What if Shaw just literally was waiting in a bathroom stall and Han popped up and he just like slit his throat? It's like, you don't know for sure he's gonna be there hitting this car and stuff like that. I'm sure they explain like, oh, every day we were checking on Shaw, but it's just like, that doesn't make sense either, because Mr. Nobody, I just rewatched him, and someone can correct me, but I swear the whole thing with Deckard Shaw, one of his abilities was he was very hard to track. They could never find him. So that's why the whole point of F7 is they got to get the God's Eye, because they have to find Jason Statham. Even though Jason Statham keeps showing up all the time in 7, they're like, we got to find the God's Eye so we can track down Statham. So you're telling me the criminal at that point that they had no idea, no eyes on, couldn't figure out where he is, that Mr. Nobody's going to project where he's going to be at a certain night? It didn't make sense. And then like this whole like exploding the car, like how did they get his body out? How did Deckard Shaw not realize, like looking behind, be like, oh look, someone put, like, it was lazy and clumsy. And I still hate that they never even, my big hope was that there was going to be some twist that Han was the villain, because like they still never explain why in F7, because people say this to me all the time, and I think I brought this up in the original review. They go, well, Jason Statham saved Vin's son, so that's like a mulligan, right? It's for a Han for a son. That's fine. I get why they'd work together, but at the end when they have Jason Statham there at the cookout and him and Vin Diesel are literally making jokes together, it's like, man, this guy killed your best friend, and that's where the franchise really took a dive for me. So now it's like, they didn't, like, Han never was like, hey, why were you guys ever like working with that guy or hanging out with that guy? And maybe they'll come down the line. We'll talk about what we got for the mid-credit scene, but that was, I feel like Han was just brought back for the sake of being brought back. And even at the end, when they're talking about the dinner, they're like, oh, how are you back? He's like, oh, that's just a very long story. And I feel like that's always going to be the way it is, because it's just nothing. Now, we did get that mid-credit scene. What did you think that mid-credit scene? Did you think it was going to be Statham under that hood?
No, and I think they fooled you good. I think they set it up so that you think it's Han.
Oh, really? I didn't think that at all.
I felt like it was gonna be Han. The fact that they had a guy in that boxing bag, I don't know why I laughed. I just thought like
Good.
I never would have expected that. Like that was just, oh my god. I couldn't tell who it was. It's just some random guy, but for some reason I thought it was the dude with the accent who was the rich man teamed up with John Cena in this movie. And I
No,
was
I
like,
think
well,
this guy had
no,
a
he
bit too much
died.
weight. Yeah. Well, I don't know if he did he die for sure?
His vehicle collided
Yeah,
with the jet drone.
that's true. That happened. Who knows? In these movies, he could survive. But
Mhm.
yeah. What do you think about the end credit scene when they did reveal it was Statham? And then the big thing is he's after some sort of chip. He has mentioned before in other movies that he wants to take Cypher down. So maybe he's tied that. But there's a knock at the door. He opens the door, and it's Han. And then Statham looks like he's seen a ghost, and they cut away.
Yeah, it made me laugh because it's like just classic drama. What's Han gonna do? Kill him? I think
Why? Why would he kill him? There's no reason
exactly.
to.
He's not
Like,
gonna do anything to him.
like F7 is so pointless now because Statham went after the family because they took his brother and put him in like prison and whatnot. One, his brother's alive, busted out. Two, it was revealed that the only reason his brother did all this was because Cypher was using him and he had no choice. So it's like really his brother had no choice. Han has no reason to because he didn't actually kill him and they used Shaw as like part of their mission. So it's like if there's any fight, and that's why people, I guarantee you, this is why I feel like as far as the characters, they've kind of lost their way, the writers, because I guarantee you they put that end credit scene like, man, people can't wait to see Han and Shaw back together, and there is something fun there, but it's like they took out all the things that were meaningful about it. Like I said, they made Vin and him crack jokes together in F7 and in Hobbs and Shaw. They had the whole time The Rock trying to be like, oh, you used to be a military leader and you have these like medals of honors. Like they tried to make Statham seem like a good guy. It'd be much more interesting if he was still like the shitty villain guy who had to deal with the like that's part of his redemption. But even in other movies, like I've done a lot of terrible things that I regret. And it's just like we've kind of already you made him a good guy. Again, you made him a good guy while Han was fucking dead to all of us. So terrible already that they made Statham a good guy when he killed one of our main characters. We just forgot about him. But now, like, there's no issue. Like, what? Like, there's a conversation to be had, but why? Like, what would come to that end credit scene other than yeah, you see them together? But like, there's nothing that hype to come out of it. I don't think. I don't think, like you said, Han's gonna fucking kill him or anything like that. Like, I don't know. It just didn't have the same weight that I think it could have had.
Yeah. I, again, it's so convoluted. You know, Tokyo Drift is the what would be the word? Tokyo Drift is the film that you get when they clearly did not plan this far ahead in the franchise.
Yes, a
And they
hundred
just
percent.
tried to make it work and shimmy it and deal with it. And by God, they did it. And it wasn't
Did they
110%,
though?
but they did it. It's probably like 60% to 55% that they managed to get through. Because I mean, they did it and it worked, so it's at least 50%. But it's not like
It's
it's
at
not a
least
complete 100.
50. That's well, and it's just so funny, right? Because like you said, Tokyo Drift really is the monkey wrench in all this because so they that Tokyo Drift is a spin-off to the Fast Movies. It has nothing to do with the other ones until now it does. But at that time it didn't. It was just here we go. They have Vin Diesel at the end credit, but still at that time it's just this is another movie in the Fast Furious world. They kill off Han and they go, man, people, he was a fan favorite in that movie. People really liked Han. Wish we wouldn't have killed him. So then they have this great idea, which I think was fantastically thought out of, hey, well, what if we do movies coming up, but they're before Tokyo Drift? So that's how we can have Han around. But then at the end of the day, they just brought Han back to life. So it's just like, maybe you just shouldn't have killed him off at all. You know, like it's just like where we got to. It's just like it didn't really. And that's why I do think these movies have a problem with. I found that in now Tokyo Drift, in 6 and 7, that they really like they'll retcon things in a line. Like I said, for Luke Evans to be the main protagonist of 6, he's using Letty, all this stuff to seem like he has his own just free will and thought. And then in another movie to just drop one line and be like, yeah, Cypher was behind him the whole time using him. It's just like, they don't really care about the sequels. They just care like what's happening currently. And I think that really hurts them. But at the end of the day, people are here to see the big spectacle and everything. So you get that. I thought the way they brought back Han was not clever at all. I'm just felt, well, we just need something. And, I'm sure him and Statham will have like a cool scene or two, but I don't know. That didn't leave me as like, oh shit, there's scene. But I guarantee there are lots of fans that think that like us don't have a podcast and talk it through that just think, oh, this is huge. He tried to kill Han. But it's like, well, actuality is they knew he was going to kill Han. They could have stopped it, but they didn't. So they used it as a cover. So it's like, Shaw, I don't know. I could rant about this for hours. I think the Han thing's just so stupid. What else? Where do you want to go next?
I want to talk about John Cena's character patriot or whatever you will call him, his
Yes.
partner. He was interesting to a degree, and then when the Star Wars stuff started coming out, I was not expecting it because I was like, okay. I chuckled when he's like, yeah, like get me everything, 50 best men, get me the Millennium Falcon and Chewbacca if you somehow find him. I laughed at that, and then when he turned to
Cypher.
Charlie, yeah, Cypher, and was like, I'm Luke. And she's like, no, you're not Luke. He's like, oh, or Han Solo. And then she's like, no, more a Yoda. And I'm like, what is this conversation? Oh, because he's a great, powerful Jedi. No, because he's a puppet with a hand up his ass. I'm thinking, what is this? Has been like a solid minute and 30 seconds to 2 minute conversation. We started with the Millennium Falcon and Chewbacca, and we're talking about Yoda now. And I was chuckling because didn't know how to process it, but I thought the burn was great, and Madison made a point of this too. Like the fact that he accepted the fact, like, yeah, I'm Yoda, and then she just totally lays him out to dry, like you got a hand up your ass. Like so good.
Which like I don't think they stress that enough because they're trying to make it seem like what she's pitching is, and I like that. Okay, she's trying to turn the partners against each other, but she's trying to stress that John Cena's running the show, right? I felt like they were working together the whole time. Even at one point when they were really talking about Ares the first time, and he's like, then John Cena, when he left the room, he was like, yeah, and you'll be so rich, your dad will be asking for allowance. That was very much like, he sounds like he's very much supporting his boy here. And I just didn't think they dove into enough of either this guy's paranoid and it's not actually happening and she's planning ideas, or John Cena is a dick and he is just running the show. But it wasn't really any of that. And yeah, that was a weird conversation. They had a few meta ones about like pretty much talking about if they're superheroes or not. Charlize did that line, which I think you can only do in a few movies, but she's like, if this was a movie, the villain would be in trouble right now. And it's just like I don't know, but then at the same time, it's just them embracing the campiness of this. And then in my mind, if they're doing that, I'm like, okay, this works. So yeah, I actually really liked that actor. I thought he did a good job playing a slime ball. I don't think I've seen anything else, but the second he was on screen, I was like, I really like it. And then when we got really introduced to him was when Vin Diesel showed up to the party, if anyone's seen Triple X, literally that's just what he is now. He's Xander Cage. He was like a street racer and then turned into secret agent. When he shows up, there's like this big mansion, the girls and all these cars. It's just like, yeah, he is just a secret agent.
How do you get
now.
to that from stealing DVD players and VHS machines out of trucks?
Well, to defend it, how do you get from Iron Man 1 to just building a little suit to having in Endgame where he has a glove that controls the entire universe, right? If you look at it that way, because comic books are in this fantastical world, we don't question it, but Iron Man 1, very realistic movie, right? And then like imagine if you were to show someone Iron Man 1 for the very first time, then show them Endgame, they'd be like, how did we get from this to this? So I don't shit on it that too much, but it is, yeah, the fact that they stole VCRs and now they're going to space is quite the feat,
Yeah, I mean, it goes to show to anyone. You gotta start somewhere, and you can just start by stealing VHS machines. Then you'll be in space someday.
Yeah. How did you feel about the magnets in this movie?
I like it. I love magnet technology. I think it is definitely has a lot of. I have a few concept inventions that incorporate magnets, and it's something I've worked on like concept wise for a long time. I'll never create it because I don't have the finance to ever do it, but it is so cool because magnets they're brilliant in what they're capable of, and I loved how they were used in this film. I think it was great. I'm also going to say the body count of innocence is through the fucking roof when they use
they
those
were Man of
magnets
Steel levels going on.
Oh yeah, when they use the magnets on pedestrians' cars and stuff, I guarantee there was families in some of those cars. Like they killed so many innocent people.
They did this moment where like the bad guys are on this very big vehicle that's like a train that's like armored like a tank, and it's so funny because their idea is to use the magnets and throw just other cars to get in its way. And they have this shot of Ramsey. Now it just looks like she in the scene is actually just seeing all these cars and being in shock. But at first when they shot her, I thought it was like her being in shock to be like, man, look at how much damage and life we're taking. Like she just looked like so hurt, but it was about to be like what we see next, which is them throwing all the cars at this train thing. But like she's like, oh my god, like what are we doing? And like there are some moves, yeah, where they're like throwing cars to restaurants. And like, yeah, they are even worse. And I joke about Man of Steel, but actually I still don't sometimes. There is like some kind of destruction porn in there. And like this took it to a whole new fold. I think the magnets were a fun gimmick. I also think they played very hard and loose with how magnets work. And like, because sometimes there'd be some things that weren't affected by the magnets, and sometimes they could just control it like they're fucking airbender or something like that. So yeah, those were something else. What else to talk about?
Oh, there's another thing I wanted to bring up.
I really like the opening of this when they had to go to that plane and fight all the increments and whatnot. It went on for a while, and we had seen in the trailer the whole like jumping off the bridge thing. That's still ridiculous, makes no sense, but the whole sequence was really good. That was our first introduction to John Cena. I like Brian Tyler, who does the score for Guardians. Every time John Cena would be on screen, he had like a different type of score for him, so I really liked that. But and I'm not sure if that's like a slowed down version of anything fast wise. It might be, but um oh man, what was I just talking about before?
Brian
Shit.
Tyler did the soundtrack for which movie? Sorry,
For this movie, but I also did Guardians. But what was
Guardians.
I
Fun
talking about
fact:
before?
he also did the soundtrack for Alien vs. Predator Requiem.
Oh wow, there you go. What was I talking about before though? I can't remember. I
You're talking
totally
about the
blanked.
whole jungle scene, John Cena
Oh yeah,
appearing.
I liked all that. All the set pieces I quite liked. The ending, yeah, it gets very crazy. Especially there's all like this has been a joke in Fast and Furious before, but the fact that they can just use cars to catch people and it does not damage at all still makes no sense. And like there's one in particular where Vin Diesel catches John Cena, and I was like, this man would be dead. But because they land on cars in Fast and Furious world, cars are just like clouds and they mean nothing. So worked for them.
Yeah, there's several moments like that where like John Cena somehow lands on the vehicle where his sister pulls him up and swings him into like the other car,
Which
and
he
like
is so big. I couldn't believe like when they're pulling, like he's trying to pull, like Mia's pulling him up. I was like, it'd be the other way around. With if John Cena uses any weight, he's just gonna pull
right off.
Jordana Brewster just right off the fucking car, and she's gonna eat tires. But
Yeah.
no, she pulled him up, and he was like, he's so big when he got in that orange vehicle. It's like, man, this guy doesn't even look like he fits. Like he can't even get through that door. Like it is so funny for me, like when I see professional wrestlers, and it's just like, oh, that's what they look like. But then when they're up like normal actors or like normal people, it's like, yeah, they're fucking huge. And he was big in this movie compared to everybody else. But I hope if they bring him back, we get a little bit more of him and Mia, because Mia was like, I always wrote to him and stayed in contact. But they had like tour things like, I'm sorry about this, Mia, and stuff like that. Like they had a few moments, but on that didn't feel like she said that how they were still talking for a little bit.
Yeah. Issue I had with this film was when they had their base provided by Mr. Nobody and they set up, and then all the bad dudes came, attacked, freed John Cena, and then they left. They didn't relocate. They just used the same base again. You think that when John Cena's team realized that none of the agents made it out alive, that they should have sent another army to go and like take it down?
It made no sense because when they're in the whatever the death train and they see them show up, John Cena turns to that rich guy and he's like, I thought this was taken care of. It's like, did no one question the guards that didn't come back from this mission? Did no one be like, man, has anyone seen Rickett? No, I haven't seen him in 2 days. It's like, oh fuck, that sucks. And I agree. It was just weird to go back to the base, and like the base was a fun idea. We got some humor there with the magnet and everything, but I didn't like. I get that they were his brother and sister, but I also didn't get when they're just like, this better be the end of the road for you. I just feel like these evil criminals, as part of this organization, like we gotta kill these people. Like they literally did the Doctor Evil thing where they just let them get like. John Cena let the ability for them to stop them happen because like they had them dead to rights. I was expecting someone to come and save them. It didn't happen, but the bad guys just left them there. They just left them there. They didn't care that the good guys were free. And lo and behold, they got John Cena back and they saved the day again, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they sure did. God,
Oh,
what
I had
else
a
is there?
specific question to ask you about. Oh man, it was on the tip of my tongue and I lost it. Yeah, no, if there's anything you want to shout out, let me know.
I can't think of anything else. Again, I will say I love they pop off with the Jeep. I thought that was fun. That whole scene of the bridge collapsing and the Jeep going across it, I just thought like not in a million years. Like that's as soon as the wires went and the bridge is going down,
Yeah.
like the Jeep would be free falling on the falling bridge to make the drive. Like Not a chance. Oh my god. But
Oh,
it's
yeah.
fun.
And there's so many times when people get like hit from one car to another, but logistically that wouldn't happen because the car would have driven a lot faster and you would just hit cement. But here's the thing I was going to ask because we hadn't talked about. How do you feel about them going into space?
Again, they did it in a car. I thought that was fun. And
Mhm.
I love that we got the Drift King back. I'm always down to
Yeah.
see him make a cameo. And he got the scene with Han, so I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's working on rocket cars. I thought going to space was great. I thought it was really, really funny. I would have loved to have had the moment of Roman just kind of like freaking out with his fear of heights, but I guess he conquered it after he was tossed out of the airplane.
Well, he's
But
invincible, remember?
he's invincible, yeah.
Yeah.
But I thought space was good. I like that they rammed through the satellite and all that stuff. That was fun. So
With literally like
I'm
milliseconds to go, you know?
yeah, that and the ISS. I love the space station scene. I thought it was really funny.
Yeah, I did like the space thing as far as for this universe. People always joke about them going to space and they said they're going to space. I think this worked. Like I said, they crashed that satellite, so that helped us take down the bad guys, but I think it fit enough in the they tried to make it like not even semi-realistic, but just realistic to what the standards are in this world. And I liked it enough. There was some fun, and I thought Mr. Nobody was gonna save them. We don't have confirmed that Mr. Nobody is still alive. I bet he is, because I imagine Kurt Russell just wants to film cameos, but we never found out what happened to Mr. Nobody, so we'll have, because like the last video footage was of him taken out by John Cena. So, and John Cena drove away. He didn't even tell them what happened. So he's out there somewhere. I
Yes.
have no more of my notes. Do you have anything else?
I do not. I think that's I mean everything.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, it sounds like we didn't talk about much, but like so much of the film was like, I guess we didn't talk about two Ares is this weapon that's going to literally just makes you take over any technology. They said anything that is coded, anything that uses ones and zeros, you can take over. Okay, we've kind of been here before in other comic book movies, but I liked enough the dialogue that got us there, you know? So I guess I'll say, because I'm rambling right now, I will give this, I don't know. I'm somewhere in like the 6.57 ish. I think I'll do in the middle, and I'll go like you know what? I'll just give it a 7. I'll watch it again. I enjoyed my time. I laughed. Like when they did, I'm talking about space and being outrageous. When they decided they're just gonna nos in satellite, that was the moment that me and Emily were laughing. Like, man, this franchise is fucking wild, and it's definitely lost its way trying to be realistic. They're not going for that, but I was like, the fact that this is happening right now is nuts. So I guess, you know, I'll go with 7. I will watch it again. I enjoyed it. I had less problems with it than other ones, and lots of my problems are stuff that were stemming, like the Han stuff. That's not this movie's problem. That was a problem a few movies ago, and it just carried over. This movie's trying to like put a bandage on, and be like, no, see, you know, this was here the whole time. It's like, nah, not really. But yeah, 7 out of 10 for me. How about you?
I would probably do a 7 out of 10 as well. Like it's something I could definitely watch again. Like my go-to fast movies is like obviously Too Fast, Too Furious, Fast Five.
Obviously,
Um, I haven't watched the original in a long time, but I would probably put this up there with like top 5 like go-to fast movies.
yeah,
Yeah, I think 7 out of 10 is more than adequate of a rating. Even if you're not a Fast fan and you just want to see like some action and just go to theater, see a new movie. Out of all the, like the films that they got playing, like go see Fast. I think it's genuinely a good movie to watch on a big screen. Like it's just got so much action and
yeah.
craziness, and it's just over the top that it's a good time. And with all the craziness in the world right now, I think this kind of a good time is a great thing to kind of pull you out of the real world and just enjoy like the craziness of this franchise.
Yeah, it's just a throwaway. Like we've talked about this with Clay and Joke before, but like it is like a classic turn your brain off type of movie. But sometimes you need that. You just want to laugh and get. And there's times where I feel like when I saw Hobbs and Shaw, I was less in that mood. So that's why I think I was harder on it. So I want to watch it. But this, I definitely had a mood of like, it's my first time back in the theaters. I just want to have a fun time. And I had enough fun with this one that I wasn't mad or anything like that. So yeah, we did. I looked when you said it was in your top 5 for me, because I did a letterbox list the other day. I would have it in my. It's literally kind of dead set in the middle. It's not my top 5, but I have it as 6 right now. So I don't. I could go up, but I don't. If anything, it would go down after rewatch. But I have it in 6th place out of the 10 films we got now. So
Mhm.
yeah, well, ladies and gentlemen, we did it. We've reviewed F9, the Fast Saga. If you saw this, let us know what you thought. Did you have the same problems with us? Do you have any questions? Send that over the Patreon or the Discord. And as always, thank you very much for tuning in and supporting this. We hope when we hear from you next, it'll not be boring.
Bye bye.